Hello, 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 everyone. What is going on? James here, and today I am with a very sweltering Liam.
Hello there.
When was the last one you've been on, man? It feels like
Ooh,
ages.
it does,
Feels
yeah.
like it's been a while.
When was the last one? I'm trying to think because the last one you did was Summer Special, and then
Yeah,
you
that was just me
did,
and Aaron. Yeah,
and then there was, and then you did the Comic Con one, didn't you? Um,
yeah, of course. Yeah, the San Diego Comic Con. Yeah,
so I
because
don't know
that
whether.
was that. I was just going to say that was originally meant to be the Kenobi one, but you
Mm,
said that you didn't feel that you felt a bit ill, and then I don't think Ben could do it. And it was just me and George, and I was like, you said you were fine for us to do it without you, but then George was like, no, wait for Liam. But obviously, now I just want to get it out of the way and just get it done, to be honest. And Ben said he wasn't up for it, and obviously, George is on holiday. I know it is a little bit like a bit uncool recording it and just sort of not really doing it behind his back, but I just think like when you're on holiday, why do you want to do podcasts? I just feel like George should just like chill out and relax. And Ben obviously didn't want to. Ben messaged me saying that he for personal reasons he just doesn't want to do it. It's nothing against Kenobi. He just doesn't feel like podcasts at the moment, which is totally his decision, and I totally respect it. Hopefully he's game for it at some point again, but if he's not game for it, that's whatever. Hopefully he's game for it one day. But yeah, it is what it is. And obviously Aaron, what's crazy about Kenobi is this was the show that Aaron was like, yeah, I'm going to check this out and watch this, but he hasn't watched it because, well, most probably because of what we've said about it, our reactions to it. Because I mean, I thought it was going to be a pile of dog shit. And I thought when I was watching bits of the first episode, I thought I'm not going to like this, but Liam's going to love this. But in the group chat, you were saying like, I'm not impressed, man. I'm not impressed. It's not the best. So,
mm.
but I just want to say before we go on to the first two segments quickly, a little rule that I'm going to throw out there. So the rule of the Kenobi review is no gaming channel impressions, no Liam jokes, no Kenobi jokes about Liam and Kenobi doing devious things together in my crazy imagination, and yeah, just no gaming channel and no kicking Liam from the chat because I just felt like this one would have been. This one was one. I feel like I'd be so tempted to just do gaming channel impressions and Liam jokes and all this jazz that eventually you'd probably be like really annoyed and wouldn't enjoy it. Well, usually my joke, I might tell a few jokes at the start, then leave it, then maybe do a joke in the middle, then leave it, and then I'll leave it there. But with this Kenobi one, I probably would have been, if I hadn't set this rule, I would have just been so tempted to do some silly impressions or make some stupid joke. So,
Mm-hmm.
but to be honest, this is an easy rule to follow. Like when you did the Liam takes over, it was a piece of piss not to kick you because I think I've only kicked you like probably like 4 times. Well, when it was George, and the rules were you can't, I can't kick George, and all this jazz. I was just thinking, bloody hell! Sometimes it's just like it's kind of funny to kick him, but sometimes it's hard not to kick him because sometimes he's doing daft things, and I'm like, God, I just need to put a stop to this for a few seconds. Um, but yeah. Anyway, let's get into this. So the first segment is job slobs. So, my job slob for this week: would you rather be a general manager in a card store or a camera operator for the BBC?
What sort of card store? Like just a
Oh,
card
just
shop?
like yeah,
What,
just a
like
normal. Oh,
yeah,
sorry, go on.
like sells birthday cards and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like granddad cards, uncle, aunt cards, happy birthday, Christmas,
And
Valentine's
what
Day.
was the other job? Sorry.
Camera operator for the BBC. So the thing is, a general manager in a card store is probably a lot less stress than running around with a camera and all that jazz. But with the BBC, you do get to. As much as I'm not a fan of the BBC as a company for a lot of reasons, being a camera operator for them would probably be a lot of fun as long as you don't have to go anywhere horrendous. Like I was watching this one documentary about this geezer who sadly ended up in a wheelchair because he was filming him a camera operator. Basically, the BBC sent him out to Iraq for the Iraq War to show how bad it was, and he got shot and he's ended up in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, pretty much. And as a camera operator, do you want to take those risks? Because the BBC could send you to do anything and everything, couldn't they? While as a car general manager, car store general manager, what's really going to happen? People are going to come in and go, "You've got no 120 birthday card, a birthday card. How fucking dare you?" You know, you're not really going to get too many pissed off people. I'm not saying it's easy, but you're not going to get like next level aggro people.
I think it would just probably have to be camera operator because it's more along the lines of what I want to do, and I guess at the end of the day, sure, you know, if there's somewhere like I might be asked to go or whatever, then at the end of the day, I don't have to. I don't have to go to that place.
What if that was you? What if they said we're going to sack you if you don't?
Well, I'll probably just leave then.
Yeah,
just say,
you'd say this.
Stick your job.
Yeah, this is the gaming channel, and you can shove your job up your ass.
That is all.
Yeah, exactly. Fair play.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, that is a fair point, but you can make that argument with any job, Slob. Like, you could say, "Oh, I'll be a hooker," but if they ask me to do anything too humiliating, I'll say, "Well, fuck this. I'm not being a hooker anymore." Yeah, so, but you rather, if you had to stick at one job, you'd be a cameraman, pretty much, yeah.
I think, yeah.
I'd store general manager. Fair enough. I mean, I had a good thing about it, and I'll probably go for the cameraman as well, just because it's more interesting. Yeah, I feel more fulfilled as a camera operator, just because you're learning how to operate these big cameras, and you're creating art. You know, you're filming these things and filming the news reporters or filming the live news or whatever, and getting all this stuff done and getting involved with the nitty gritty behind the scenes. So yeah, I think that'd be very cool. I just looked at my leg hair. My legs are wet with sweat. That is how hot it is in the UK. It doesn't bother me. I'm sweating all over my body. It's horrendous. You can't see the sweat, but I'm like someone just baking in the sun basically at the moment. And I don't want to open my bloody door because I don't want the podcast to hear my family walking upstairs and saying stuff in the background. But my whole body is sweating like a madman because my mum's taken my fan because she said that she felt really ill earlier. My big fan's downstairs, spraying downstairs while I'm up here roasting. But I've got a window open, which is nice. So I guess it could be worse. But yeah, honestly, the heat has been in. But yeah, I'd go for camera operator any day of the week now that I think about it because I feel more fulfilled. I feel like in this life you only live once, and being a card shop general manager, sure it's no stress, and you can do a load of mad stuff in your own free time. But I know, well, my dad knows a camera operator, and he said he absolutely loved it to bits. He thought it was a great laugh. So I can imagine it being a good job.
Yeah.
I know there's some shit things about being a camera operator, like if you have to film something really bad and then someone pushes a camera in your face and while you're trying to film and it could blind you or seriously hurt your eye, or it depends where you're holding the camera. But I mean, if some thug did that to me, and it really hurt me, I'll probably drop the camera and beat them to a pulp, to be honest. I don't care if I get locked up. If they've seriously hurt my eye, I'm not letting that go. I'm gonna, if they like, you know, I say seriously hurt my eye, I would assault them for that because I don't care how much prison time I do because I'm not having that happen. Because that has nearly happened in some road wars things that I've watched where they've been filming as a camera operator and then someone's pushed the camera. Thankfully that the camera operator didn't get hurt, but if I was a camera operator, I'd whoop them for that because that's disgusting behaviour. There are certain things as a camera operator, like if you're sticking the camera in someone's face, then I understand them pushing it away. But if you're just filming normally, then I don't see why anyone should push the camera or assault a camera operator. That's horrendous behaviour. But yeah, obviously that the BBC, you know, they're not, if they are inappropriately filming someone and harassing someone, they're not usually getting right in their face. They're usually a sort of safe distance, aren't they? So typically,
yeah.
But yeah, when I say stuff like, "Oh, I'd do this or I'd do that," I'm not trying to sound like a hard man or anything. Even though I can take care of myself, I'm not trying to sound like, "Oh, I'll go around knocking people out. Look at me." I only say that in serious situations because I feel like a lot of the time I've brought stuff up, but I've said, you know, if someone was being an idiot shouting at me, I wouldn't assault them. I'd just tell them to, you know, do one and walk off. I'd do my best to walk off. The only time I'd assault someone is if they really got in my face and kept harassing me. That's it. If someone just said stupid things to me, I'd just say stupid, horrible things back to them and walk off because I'm not a violent man, but I'm just saying if someone did something serious, like, you know, pushing a camera in someone's face, like pushing them while you're just trying to film and not doing anything bad, then I think that's disgusting behaviour, as I say. But yeah. So you pick camera operator as well because it's more in line with what you want to do, and I'm assuming you find it more interesting as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fair dues, fair dues. So, question of the day then. Today's question of the day is: would you rather be the person making the video? So let's say like you're like Jeremy Clarkson, you know, going around the world and having a laugh or starting your own farm, or would you rather be the person who's behind the scenes editing them and putting the art together? What would you prefer? And I'll tell you what I go for, but you say what you go for.
It's funny, really, because I don't know, because I don't know. It's kind of a difficult one, but um, but I suppose if I had to choose, then it would be. I think it would be, behind the scenes and editing, because that's what that's what I like to do, and that's what I want to do.
Fair enough, big man. I'll go for being on the show because editors are the unsung heroes, and you probably get paid more for being like Jeremy Clarkson and all that jazz. I know that sort of links into job slots. But what I meant with that question: would you rather be like in the spotlight totally, or like behind the scenes totally with whatever? And I suppose I'd have to go for in the spotlight because it's less stress and you just sort of following someone else's orders. I think that's the better way to put it. Because if I say like being on the shows or just being the editor, then it becomes a bit too much like job slots. So would you rather be at the forefront of the project? That's the better way to put it. Would you rather be at the forefront of the project, being filmed and whatever, or being behind the scenes? Would you still go for behind the scenes action?
Yeah, I think so.
Fair dues. I'd go for the front lines just because it's easy. You just have to follow what people say. I know it's a lot more public attention, and if a film's shit, like people are just gonna. So let's say Robert De Niro. I don't know, like Robert De Niro, Al Pacino in Righteous Kill. We all just see it as a bad film, and we're just like, haha, they're in that film, it's shit. But we see them and we see them in that film and think, not like if you see someone in that film, you associate that bad film with them rather than associating it with the writer, with the director. I mean, to be fair, the directors do get a bit of blame, but you don't associate it with the writer. Usually no one knows who the writer is. You don't associate it with the editor, the cinematographer. It's just usually the actors and then secondly the director. So I suppose there is that side of it which might suck about being on the main show. But I'd just rather go for that just because I'd rather sort of take orders and do what other people tell me than like have to be in charge of the project. And you get more credit when it's good. And if anyone does come up to you, you can just say, well, it's just what the director did. So go away, you know. Well, the director can just say, well, I did my best. If you've got a problem, don't watch the bloody film. So, yeah. I mean, I know I've taken a directing role. I mean, when me, you, and George have done the Doctor Who series, I've been pretty much directing the whole thing. Well, not the whole thing, but a considerable amount of it. And I've enjoyed it, but like, if it was either, I don't know, like at the end of the day, it's fun being. It is fun doing behind the scenes stuff, and if there was an option to like direct stuff, I guess I would go for it. I wouldn't like say no to directing something, but if I had the chance to like, be in something and just be directing myself, I'd probably rather go for that myself, just because less stress, following what people say, and when it's done well with the directors and the editors. They have to like do loads more. So yeah. Well, let's go on to Kenobi. I nearly did that in your voice then. I nearly broke my rule of not impersonating. not impersonating you or doing any voices of you. So let's I'm just going to get my notes up, then we can get it going. So I just want to say my predictions quickly before we get into it, what I thought the show was going to be. I thought the show was gonna. I wanted the show to be like Obi-Wan Kenobi pottering around, sort of experiencing life. Man, this is how I would have done it personally. I would have done him like pottering around Tatooine, basically like Vader nearly finding him but not finding him, and maybe Commander Cody and his clone troopers like sort of go after him, and then Kenobi basically kills most of them, and then he's left with the choice whether to kill Commander Cody or not. And basically, maybe he could, like, instead of killing him or letting him go totally, he could, like, give him a really bad Jedi mind trick which destroys his mind. and then he goes back to the Empire, and they think he's a loon, and they just chuck him in a mental asylum. So it could be really bittersweet. I'd probably do something like that, but like make it way more expanded, if that makes sense. I'd have Vader in it still, but like he'd be ordering Commander Cody and all that to, find Obi-Wan. That's what I would have done personally, and I probably. I think 6 episodes could have done that sort of story. That's what I would have done. Is there anything you would have done? Like, what would have you made it about?
Yeah, that sounds interesting. That story. What would I? I would have. I think I would have kept Obi-Wan on Tatooine, as was meant to be the case, really. And yeah, he's just watching over Luke. Maybe you could still have shown him doing, just going about his everyday life, as a, like as we saw at the start of the show. And then I don't know, maybe use the Inquisitors. They could still get to Tatooine, perhaps. Maybe find out about Obi-Wan, possibly, and then maybe Obi-Wan could fight one or two. And it'd just be a way to utilize them more. And let's have Vader as well, but they wouldn't ever meet. And I mean, they could possibly interact through the Force, maybe, but yeah, just cutting between Kenobi and Vader, and I guess just focusing more on Luke as well, because Obi-Wan is there. He's on Tatooine to protect Luke and watch over him, and if any threats come his way, or if Luke's in danger, then he'll be there to protect him.
Cool,
yeah.
So that would have been really cool. I would have made Luke older as well. I would have made Luke older too.
Well, if you make him older, then does that mean you'd rather have had the show set closer to A New Hope then?
Well, I would have retconned it and said Luke was actually like 26 or like 24 in A New Hope. So, yeah, I would have just said you can suck it, George. He's not 19. That's ridiculous. 19-year-old flying a bloody spaceship. You mental. Needs training. No, but I mean, yeah, that sounds all right as well. My prediction for the show was going to be just looking at I mean, I thought because. I mean, okay, when I first heard the show was announced, I thought they're going to hit this out the park. Yes, then I saw the trailer, I thought it was going to be absolute horrendous dog shit. Then I watched the show itself, and it wasn't as shit as I thought it would be, but it was definitely a disappointment. It was a humongous disappointment for me. I thought I was hoping for more, but it exceeded my expectations, but I was still a bit disappointed. I don't know how to explain it. So.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say your webcam's out of focus.
Cheers.
That's right.
But, yeah, so let's get into episode 1 then, unless you want to say anything before we dive in.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, actually, seeing as how you mentioned at first about Commander Cody, I don't know whether you've read any of these articles online, but after the show finished, there were some articles about the writer who I think wrote the first screenplay for the film, because it was originally going to be a film, wasn't it?
That would have been better.
And apparently, and I remember him saying as well it was going to be a trilogy as well. So I think like this series that we've had would have been, I think, the first film, and then there would have been 2 more. But apparently he said that Commander Cody was going to be in it. He was going to be a character. So yeah, that would have been interesting. Yeah, just thought I'd mention that as soon as you mentioned Commander Cody.
That is a bit gutting that they didn't go with the Obi-Wan trilogy. Would have been so cool. It would have done so much justice to an amazing character and given so much more meaning to him in A New Hope. I mean, he already had a lot of meaning in A New Hope anyway. He was already a legend, but when he dies, when he gets sliced by Vader, you would have really thought, no, if we had a full trilogy dedicated to him and Cody would have been in it and all that jazz would have been so cool.
Yeah, there would have been. Yeah, it would have been better as a film or films. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get into Kenobi episode 1. So I like the Order 66 fan service. That was really cool. How you see Order 66 at the start with all the Jedi kids running away. That was cool. The Inquisitors look like bums because the Jedi geezer got away. I like how Obi-Wan doesn't stand up to the big geezer who's pushing people around, because it shows how mentally damaged he's become over the last 10 years. How the Jedi lost, Palpatine won and went, ah, and was just being a bit of a tit and ruling the galaxy. And he's like, it's over. We lost. And he's really upset. So it makes sense. He's just a bum in a cave, really. He's just farting around. So, we're building up to him becoming himself again. So that's cool. So he's dealing with the heartache of... and he's also dealing with the heartache of leaving Anakin to die. But the thing is, anyone who's isolated for, 10 years, it must hurt them, especially him having to... Because I know I've poo-pooed the prequels, and I poo-pooed, the... If you're not with me, that means you're my enemy. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Don't make me kill you. I must do what I must. You will try. Yeah. So I do poo-poo that, but when he's like, Anakin, you were the chosen one, and he's crying, and he's like, you were meant to join the Sith. You were meant to destroy the Sith, not join them. And then he's like, I loved you like a brother, Anakin. He's like, I hate you. Then Obi's walking off. You feel so bad that the geezer had to endure that shit, and kill a bloke who he met as a kid and trained and spent years with. It was horrible for him, and that scene was well acted. Hayden Christensen was slightly over the top, a smidge, but it was one of his better scenes, and Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor was brilliant in that one. So yeah, that was one thing Revenge of the Sith got right, him having to deal with that shit. You can really tell that his character Obi-Wan was really upset about that. And also he's looking out for Luke, and yeah, we explore how Obi-Wan's actually having to do shit on Tatooine. It wasn't just him rolling up in New Hope and being like, hello there. He was, he was doing other things. He was living in caves, working in a weird marketplace where he cuts up meat. And he also hustled with the Jawas as well. I don't get why a Raver or Reaver, whatever. Is it Raver or Reaver? Moses character. Thanks. I don't get why Reva's... I didn't understand at first why she was so obsessed, she just really wanted Obi-Wan Kenobi more than... We understand why later on she wants Obi-Wan Kenobi more than everyone wants to kill him, but it just seems like a really odd obsession, to be honest, in the first episode. I wish Obi-Wan would actually argue with Uncle Owen instead of just letting him chat shit and be like doom and gloom, being like he trained his father. Kenobi should have force choked him to death after he said that. He should have turned him into a skeleton like he was in A New Hope, because that was disgusting from Uncle Owen. Nah, JK. I don't know why they were looking at yeah, I just by the way, another thing I found weird was Leia going to these big meetings as a child for order on politics. I found that a bit weird. I liked how Bail Organa was back, even though later on he had one of the most retarded scenes ever in Star Wars, just brain dead, pistol mental, stupid, moronic things. Probably more stupid than anything Jar Jar Binks did, but we'll get to that later. The chase scene was really daft. Why didn't they just taser her? 3 adults getting outran by a child. I mean, are you having a laugh? It's ridiculous. It's daft. But your thoughts on the episode, Liam? I thought it was below average, but what did you think?
Yeah, same. Just trying to think. Of course, yeah. I mean, it was just a setup. It was just setting up the show, I guess. So yeah, not a whole lot happened. I mean, we had that repetition of Obi-Wan seeing what Obi-Wan was doing every day in the life that he now had. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting and made sense, just to have that constant repetition of him doing the same thing every time. But yeah, but then of course we Leia's introduced, and we have Bail, and yeah, I mean, yeah, not really the biggest fan of that stuff. And yeah, of course, the chase scene too, stupid. Just trying to think. Yeah, of course, the Inquisitors as well. We had yeah, like you said about how Owen was having a go at Obi-Wan. I mean, yeah, Obi-Wan could have had a go back. He could have defended himself, but at the same time, I don't think he would have done that anyway. I don't think that would have been in his character.
He
I
should have
don't know.
gone ballistic like he did in Trainspotting when he's like, "For fuck's sake, Tommy, it's a pile of shit living in Scotland." He should have just gone. He should have lost the posh British English accent and just gone ballistic in his normal Scottish accent and been like, "It's a pile of shite." And then that would have been amazing. But yeah, I guess it's not in his character. But he should have tried to say, "No, you're wrong. Blah 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 blah. It wasn't my fault. Anakin went to the dark side because Palpatine, you stupid cretin." You know.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, they brought in Leia and Vale as well. And just going back to the predictions that you mentioned, I sort of knew about certain things that were going to happen anyway because of leaks like that I saw on the internet, like with Leia popping up, and
Biker gangs outside your house, Liam, all over the dangerous streets of Liam's town.
yeah, no, it's just because I got the windows open this time, yeah, because it's so warm, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely sweltering.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, like I said about the predictions, I'd already seen some leaks on the internet about Leia showing up and being part of the story and things like that, and then yeah, that ended up being the case. She was introduced and all that Alderaan stuff. Like, wasn't really the biggest fan of that. And I think at the same time, it was just I guess certain things are going to be different compared to the prequels, like how Obi-Wan might sound and how Ewan McGregor might sound now, because I remember him saying, or I know that he said that it was hard to relearn the accent, so
yeah,
that wasn't exactly going to be the same. Of course, at the same time, different things like it's a TV show, low budget, lack of Star Wars music, really, and just the shaky cam, I guess, as well, a bit of shaky cam.
yeah, the trade gun was a bit weird.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and just trying to think what else. But yeah, like I say, just a disappointing first episode with all that happened there, and yeah, I don't know. Can't really think of much else to say about it. But I guess at the same time, it's kind of boring too. But
yeah. Now on to episode 2. So I think it's cool. Obi-Wan gets his confidence back a bit when he fights those 2 lab dudes. Sad to see that clone begging for cash. The clones were, as much as it was the chip made them go mental, they were still like good soldiers who were loyal and did their best. And it's sad to see the Empire just throw them under the bus and one being homeless and old and begging for cash. Quite a shame. Cool out Obi-Wan outsmarts the bounty hunters with that potion. When you think he's caught in the prison, then I think he just drops the potion, doesn't he? And they're all like, "Roar!"
I think it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be spice.
Oh, spice. Okay.
So
I thought it was just a magic potion.
No, yeah, it was actually like the drugs of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everything else though was pretty lackluster, weird. The comedy with Leia was rubbish. There, back and forth were crap. Obi-Wan just looked like a stupid idiot. The conflict between the Inquisitor was alright, Reva. It was okay. Vader's appearance at the end was cool. It mostly just felt like a bloody filler episode, apart from just Leia running around for ages and ages and farting about. And that Con Jedi was okay, but I would have preferred him to be. I would have preferred him not to act like a good guy. I would have preferred him to be a genuine con man. Because he tries to act good, then everyone's like, "You're not a real Jedi, you fucking piece of shit. How dare you?"
Yeah, it seems like there's this. I don't know. There's attempt at humor as well with that character, and yeah, just weird. But yeah, of course, that's when they get to that planet, isn't it? Because he
Yeah.
goes off, decides to go off world, and yeah, just trying to think. Yeah, of course, at the end, Reva reveals that you know Anakin and Vader's alive, and that was one of the stupid things about the episode. I thought, was about the fact that Reva knew who Vader was and was the one to tell Obi-Wan that he was alive, and that was the first
Yeah.
time he found out. After 10 years.
Seems like he just makes him look like a doofus, because surely the whole galaxy know who the Empire and know who Vader is and all this jazz. Like, surely they do. Like, it just makes everyone look like an out of touch moron. Makes absolutely zero sense. I think it was just an attempt at drama, wasn't it? Really, just an attempt to make something dramatic and big. So
Yeah, it's just the way Reva was acting in that scene as well. Like, I don't know, it's just weird.
and
It
she
didn't
kills
seem
that bald
so.
geezer who you think is cool.
Now I think the Grand Inquisitor kills him, doesn't he?
What? None of the bald geezer you like. The one who Reva stabs, she nearly kills him, and I'm like, he's dead, and you're like, no, he was in the Rebels, so he's alive.
Oh, sorry, you're on about the Grand Inquisitor. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That's
she
it,
kills him. Yeah. Yeah, that actually got me. It just got me annoyed. That
yeah, because
scene.
it's like, I thought he was dead. I thought, well, they've just killed him off for no reason. What was the point of that? Like, no one cares. But obviously, you told me, James, he's in Rebels, so he's not dead. It was just for no reason. It was just to make her look cool, I guess.
Yeah. So at first, when it happened, I thought, oh well, they are breaking canon. Like, oh god, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, of course, people were saying, oh, that he's going to be brought back, and then I watched a Star Wars theories breakdown. I think Star Wars theories breakdown saying about how he has two stomachs because of his species, and but I still think it was annoying how she managed to blindside him and stab him like that.
Yeah, when he's meant to be a gangster and a beast with his sword, his lightsabers that spin all over the gap. Jiggles
Yeah,
around.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether that was part of the plan for him to, let himself be stabbed by her because of what happens later on. But
Well, why would you risk it? That's ridiculous. Like, she could have gone for the head. She could have cut his arm off.
I know, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just, yeah. And then, yeah, you see that scene with Vader at the end. But again, a pretty lackluster episode. Yeah, just more, messing around with Leia and just running off and then trying to catch Leia because she's doing whatever, and then everyone's trying not to get noticed as well because now people know, oh, Obi-Wan's here or whatever. And
I don't get why he was so reluctant to save Leia at first. I know he's a bit damaged, but it's like, mate, you're meant to look after Padme's kids, you fool. Like, that's your job. I know his job was to watch over Luke, but like, that should have been the thing that motivated him. He shouldn't have been like, Bill, I can't do it. He shouldn't have been like that. He should have just been like, he should have clicked, and then he was motivated, and he gradually got better. I feel that would have been cooler. But overall, still a below average episode. I still wasn't much of a fan. I know that was in the first episode, wasn't it? When he was like, "You need to save her," and he was like, "No."
yeah, I think it was. Yeah, because then he decided to go off world at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, below average, in my opinion. So let's move. What do you think? Below average as well, or better than the first episode, or?
Yeah, probably below average. Possibly bad.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I say it was worse than the first one. I like, but anyway, on to episode 3. I like how the story's going somewhere this time. There was that Vader coming in was cool. Some bits were slow. They could have took some bits out. They could have cut some bits out. Obi-Wan versus Vader location, that was pretty dead. The lightsaber fight itself wasn't really that good. Hayden, it seems like, I was thinking at the time, I was hoping, can there be more Hayden Christensen in the show, because he didn't really do much apart from being the back to tank or the hyperbolic chamber, whatever it's meant to be. But I like James Earl Jones' voice returning for this. That's cool. Him coming back as Darth Vader. I thought by this point they would have had Hayden Christensen in some flashbacks or something. But I mean, episode 3, I feel like that was an average episode. I'll give it average. I mean, they did Vader right. Kenobi was a bit weird in it. I like that weird pig man who's like, "Oh, the Empire's bringing some order." It just shows some different takes, I suppose. I like how he's like, "Your mum was a really good person." That was a cool scene. The Imperial officer who turns from bad to good is alright. It's just sort of out of nowhere, but I guess it's someone else to help, which is okay. I like the bit where Vader says nothing, but he's like putting Obi-Wan into the fire, and Obi-Wan's screaming in pain, and Vader's just like not bothered. He's just trying to make him suffer. And then something happens so everyone can get away, and then Reaver kidnaps Leia, and that's that. Thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the third episode, I think Vader was handled pretty well. Nice to see James Earl Jones again, like you said. I'm trying to think. It was cutting between Obi-Wan and Anakin at the start as well, wasn't it? With Anakin and back to tank, yeah. So that was kind of interesting, yeah. It was, I mean, Vader's castle. I mean, him sitting on the throne in his castle. The sort of CGI or green screen or whatever wasn't great, to be honest. Looked kind of fan filmy. I mean, see, the problem is as well is that Vader comes to the village or whatever on that planet that they're on, and then he's killing these innocent people, and everyone's watching. And I don't know. I suppose it'd still be risky, but I mean, he doesn't really do anything about it. And then before that, for a decent amount of the episode, it's him and Leia on just trying to not get detected by the Empire, isn't it? And they speak a bit, and we find a bit out about Obi-Wan, I think, and the fact that he had a brother, I think. And I'm pretty sure as well there was that laser gate they were trying to get through, and instead of and because it doesn't extend, like, basically they could just walk around it because it doesn't like extend really far, but everyone still shoots it to destroy it, so they can just get through the middle.
Yeah, there should have been more obstacles to get past.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird that as well. I'm just trying to think. Again, now I guess just the setting that they were on there at that point was pretty bland. I think it is that episode as well, isn't it, where he briefly sees Anakin in the distance. I think for like a few seconds, might be. And then they find that place, don't they, where they isn't it where they like send Jedi off to
that
take on a new path, or have a new life or something.
No, I think isn't that the next episode when they're in the prison?
No, I think that's this one.
When's the episode when they're in the prison? Is that episode 4?
Yeah, that's the next one. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's all these symbols on the wall as well, and then I think there's a reference to Quinlan Vos, who Obi-Wan had like sort of friendship with, good relationship with, I suppose, and he's in the Clone Wars. Yeah, so just going back to episode 3, yeah, so they get to that place, and then Obi-Wan tells the woman they meet, who, well, she used to work for the Empire, didn't she? And then, but she was disguised as an Imperial officer earlier on, and she tells her, her and Leia to go while he sort of like leads Vader away.
Yeah.
So then there's a bit of a sequence where Obi-Wan's sort of running away, and he's sort of running off again, like when Vader's there. So Vader ignites his lightsaber, Obi-Wan runs off, he deactivates it, and runs off, and then they get to the setting of the fight, don't they? And like you said, the setting of the fight's pretty again, pretty flat, pretty sort of not very Star Warsy either. Sort of kind of look more like something you'd see on Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it was a dark area, so you were able to. So the lightsabers were lit up; they were lighting up the scene. But again, the fight, yeah, it was nothing special. I guess it wasn't going to be, but especially as Obi-Wan was just out of it at that point, he wasn't there, But at the same time, it didn't help how it was filmed, really. I don't think that helped. If it had been filmed better, if the shots had been better, if there'd been less of the shaky cam, which is a constant problem throughout the show, then I think that would have helped the fight. Some interesting dialogue in the fight, and then I suppose it's interesting and that Vader decides to, I suppose, sort of put Obi-Wan through what he went through, which is so he set the ground on fire and then pulled him into the flames. Although it was kind of weird how he didn't really get that badly burnt, did he? Or I don't know.
Yeah, but you don't want everyone having burn scars because it wouldn't make sense for the continuity.
No, it wouldn't. No, and maybe you could argue, he was using the Force to protect himself, maybe, but then at that point, he, like I say, he was so out of it anyway. So, I don't know. You just have a few wounds and whatever, but and then Vader gets the stormtroopers to go and get him, doesn't he? But then the woman shoots the, I don't know, those things, and then they explode, I think, and then there's a wall of fire, and Vader doesn't bother to try and walk through it, because he could, or
maybe he's just too scared of the fire because of the PTSD.
I know, yeah, and that's what people might have said, but then that would be stupid. And then he just lets Obi-Wan get away.
Very strange.
But then at the same time, it has been said, and it probably is true that he just let him go because he wants to duel him again when he's when he's more himself, when he's in a better frame of mind and not out of it, and have a proper duel with him, and just have it be more satisfying, I guess, to be able to actually get the better of him and defeat him.
Yeah, but I'd say that was quite. I'd say it was average. Yeah, I'd say episode 3 was average.
Oh yeah, and also at the end of the episode, that's when Leia's running through that tunnel, isn't she? And then Reva is there at the end of the tunnel, and then she captures her. But I'm pretty sure people also said that I think they were saying about how Reva was able to get ahead of Leia in the tunnel, or how she was able to be on the other side when she was behind her originally. Which I guess was odd. But I don't know, but then there's that, and so I mean, it's probably a better episode than the first 2, but probably still average, like you said. And the music was kind of cool in places, but still average episode, I suppose, like you said. Yeah.
Here we go. So episode 4. I would have liked Obi-Wan to be a bit more conflicted with helping Leia in this episode because he found out Anakin was actually alive, and he could have been questioning himself like, why am I even doing this? This is absolutely crazy. This is insane. Because I know earlier I said it should just be he should just be more motivated for this type of thing, but the way they were going about it. Hold on. So yeah, him, like I was gonna say, like if they hate the Jedi and want to, there'd be the Jedi tomb. Though I found that really odd because, like, if they hate the Jedi and want to exterminate them, why would they keep them as trophies? It just seems odd. Vader coming in and strangling the Inquisitor was cool. Now he's like, mate, you fucking failed me too, Reaver. That was interesting. Them going to rescue Leia was all right. Obi-Wan being back to form was a bit cool, and he was a bit more with it and more game for this sort of stuff. The way Reaver interrogated Leia was really weird. I didn't buy her at all as an intimidating force. Leia wasn't really anywhere near revealing the info that Reaver needed. It would have been cool if Reaver was. I know Leia's just a child, but it would have been cool if she was actually more scary and more intimidating, rather than just like asking her a few things, then hooking her up to this machine that Obi-Wan Kenobi saves her from. And the only really bad thing that happens is like a rebel who we barely know gets killed, and they're like, "No!" And that's the end. I'd say a smidge above. Oh yeah, wait. I say it was a bit above average, but the only thing with Obi-Wan and with Anakin being alive, there was a bit of a back and forth between them in the back tank. But that was the previous episode, I think. The show hasn't really done much with Obi-Wan's character. They've done quite a bit for Vader's character with him being more brutal and evil and stuff. But yeah, that's all that's all I've got to say about that. A smidge above average.
I'll say episode 4. So it takes place on the Fortress Inquisitorius. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Of course.
Fair play that you know that. Fair play.
Yeah, thank you. And I may as well just say, maybe slight spoilers, but we see this location in Jedi Fallen Order as well. Leia gets captured again, which is the second time, which, again, like many people have said, and I think I agree that it's kind of unnecessary. And I think, like a lot of people have also said, I don't think this episode needed to happen. Just Leia getting captured again, and it doesn't really do anything for the overall story. Just because, well, she gets captured, it's sort of a rehash of the Death Star. Luke, Han, and Chewie going through the Death Star disguised as stormtroopers and whatever, and then finding Leia and rescuing her. Well, at the same time, the Inquisitors are all there, but for some reason, they never run into Obi-Wan and Leia and the other woman. The fight scenes were just like not great, really. Again, Obi-Wan is, he's still getting back into the swing of things, but still, it wasn't what. And then one particular problem as well, which people have shed light on, was the scene where Obi-Wan he finds Leia and she's in that sort of torture room, and then it goes dark, and then he kills those stormtroopers, which I think was sort of a homage to the Starkiller cinematic for The Force Unleashed 2, which was advertised in that game, where the room goes dark and then he's killing all the stormtroopers. But that was way better than this. But the problem what I'm talking about is there's the one stormtrooper which he kills. He hits the stormtrooper once, but the saber bounces off, and then he hits it again, which is weird. That shouldn't happen. Just trying to think.
Was it an editing issue, or was it like issue? Did they do that on purpose?
I don't know. To be fair, I doubt it was an editing issue, but I don't know why. I don't know what that should. I don't know why that was sort of part of the choreography. Really, I don't know. But yeah, they're sort of going around the base, and it's not very well done, not very well executed. Trying to think of what else. I suppose there's also the part where they get their escaping from the fortress, and then Obi-Wan's hiding Leia because he's wearing one of those trench coats or whatever, isn't he? And he's hiding Leia in there, and somehow like no one, because of those people about, somehow no one notices them and that they're trying to escape, and that, you know, it's clearly them, and that Leia's in the coat, and I don't know. Yeah, they just managed to escape, and then yeah, Reva kills Wade, and don't know. I guess just looking back on it, it's a pretty weak episode. Yeah, I guess one of the highlights was Vader at the end, just coming in and, you know, punishing Reva, but yeah, probably, yeah, pretty weak episode, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. Below average, I'd say that one.
It was essentially filler. Like I said, it wasn't needed. She didn't need to be captured again, really.
Episode 5. Now, that one, this is the pistol mental, bloody brain dead moment from Bail Organa. So, he says his full plan on where Obi-Wan Kenobi's going to go when Reva's on the floor, dead, well, hurt from the wound. And he says everything in full detail. I just think, mate, you got to be a bit discreet. What the hell are you doing? That was ridiculous. That was idiotic. That could have got everyone killed. I mean, what a moron. Honestly, what a bloody buffoon. Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
I've heard this is your address, and you're going to have a party at your address. This is your address, and this is where you're hiding, and these are all the people that will be at your party. Oh, shit.
Well,
I thought that was a big spider then. I thought I was just... I think I'm seeing things, man. I thought in my camera I could see like a massive spider. I just shit the bed.
oh god.
Jesus Christ. I'm just gonna... Okay, no, there's nothing there. Nothing there. Cool. But yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. That was nonsensical.
Yeah.
That was daft. But yeah, I would have preferred Moses Ingram to be the main villain, to be honest, instead of her doing this for her own selfish interest. I would have just preferred like for her to have a mad obsession with going after Obi-Wan Kenobi instead of just being like, I'm going to fuck over Vader. We all know that the Imperial person's like, you know, we all know that Raver's not going to die because, like, well, we just know that they're not going to kill her off. They're going to do more with her, you know. But I like Vader mugging her off and going back and forth and looking like an absolute G and just mugging her off. That was really cool. Like, she probably should have died because, what, now people can survive lightsaber wounds? That's ridiculous. But McGregor and Ingram's back and forth is interesting when they're between the door and the door's opened a bit. That was pretty cool. It just baffled me how McGregor even had a chance of getting away because like, there's about 20 million stormtroopers pointing a gun at him, and it's like, bro, like, I'm not being funny, but like, this is more baffling than when all the stormtroopers are in front of Han Solo and he shot them and ran off. What was going on there? Ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I just thought the episode was quite a bag of arse, to be honest. Not good at all. Bad.
Yeah, it was a pretty weak episode again. Highlights being just the back and forth between Obi-Wan and Vader. It sort of cuts between the two characters, and then they have their the flashback of the Obi-Wan Anakin training scene, which is set.
Oh, see, that was this episode.
Yeah.
How did I forget? Yeah, that was awesome. I love that. I love how Anakin was more like he was a lot more like a mix of the Hayden Christensen Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith Anakin, mixed with the Clone Wars Anakin. He seemed to. This was like the best version of Anakin, in my opinion. I know you said before to me in private that the de-aging wasn't like you were a bit annoyed that they look a bit old, but it didn't bother me. I prefer that to like weird de-aging where they don't look normal and their faces can't act properly. You know what I mean? Like they can't move their faces that much. It looks all really CG and bizarre because they don't feel like real humans, you know, doing stuff. What else? But yeah, I like how you think Anakin's doing really well and he's going to kick Obi's ass, and then Obi just mugs him off because Anakin's too aggressive. That was a really cool way of showing, like, yeah, you know, you got to be with it. You got to be smooth and slick. You can't be getting overzealous. You got to keep the punches straight. You know, intelligent tactics.
Yeah. It was the highlight of one of the highlights of the episode. The choreography was cool. It was more sort of prequels esque. It was more like the prequels. I suppose some better camera work with that in that fight as well. Of course they didn't de-age them. I thought maybe they could have done better with how Obi-Wan looked as well, because I thought his beard and his hair didn't look quite the same as they did in Attack of the Clones. It sort of seemed like they were sort of just slightly touching up his beard and hair from the show, like, you know, from the part he's been playing in the show, you know, where he's at, you know. But yeah, of course, you know, Anakin looked older, and this was set before Attack of the Clones. But I also understand what you mean about how if they had de-aged him, then it might have taken away from the expressions on his face and the acting and things like that. I enjoyed Hayden's performance in that scene as well. And Obi-Wan's too. It just showed as well that sort of back and forth, and that scene just showed that Obi-Wan was still ahead. Vader still had things to learn, and that Obi-Wan was still the master. But yeah, of course, they, you know, the Empire comes to where there's, you know, they're sort of that base or whatever, and then they have that fight, don't they? Where I think Obi-Wan force pushes Reva back, and then the stormtroopers start shooting at the refugees, and that's when, like, it's a bit of a mess, that scene, because the camera works all over the place, very sloppy. And then how I know in Star Wars there's a lot of instances where, like, stormtroopers miss anyway, and it's become a part of the character of the character, like, you know, the stormtroopers have bad aim and things like that. But it's just baffling how there's so many people in it's such a sort of confined space, yet hardly anyone's getting shot and hardly anyone's getting killed. Stormtroopers all missing, barely hitting anyone until some point after. And it's just not very well done. And then they're running off, and Obi-Wan's killing some stormtroopers, and then that woman sacrifices herself, and so does that robot, so does that droid, and then Obi-Wan sort of stays to confront. Well, no, he doesn't stay to confront Vader because he escapes in that shuttle. Because he was going to help Reva, but then he left, and then Reva's alone to face Vader because that shuttle lifts off, and then Vader holds it in place with the Force, and then pulls it down and then rips it apart, which was, you know, one of the cool scenes. And then the actual shuttle that they're in is in the background, and that flies off. I suppose too quick for Vader, and they escape, and then yeah, we get that cool scene with Reva and Vader, and Vader just not having to try at all. And then he stabs Reva. We get that sort of flashback with Anakin killing Reva as a youngling. But I don't know whether that was meant to be sort of metaphorical or not, because I know some people have thought and said that.
I thought he spared her and let her join.
I don't. Yeah, because I know, for example, that I know Star Wars Theory anyway has said that, or he thought that that means that Vader stabbed Reva twice, with the first time as a youngling and then now at this point. But then other people have said that it's metaphorical. I think that he didn't actually kill her as a youngling. It was sort of, I don't know, it was sort of just metaphorical. I don't know, but so I don't really know what happened in that scene, the Order 66 scene, whether he did stab her and she managed to stay alive somehow, even though she was only a kid as well, or not. But then he stabbed her there as well, and then she survives somehow. Ridiculous. She survives, and then the Grand Inquisitor shows up. Oh, he's still alive. Just to say to her, he says, "Revenge does wonders for the will to live," which is sort of referring to her, I guess, and maybe himself. And then I thought at this point, oh, maybe the Grand Inquisitor's going to kill her, deliver the final blow, and I thought that'd be satisfying. It makes sense because she essentially tried to kill him before. But no, doesn't do that. They just walk off. Leave her to die, and then she somehow survives. Because it doesn't make sense either, because Vader would have killed her. I think he knows that she knows that he's Anakin, and so he would have killed her, and that's something that was established in the comics as well. And then, of course, then we have that stupid scene, like you mentioned, with Bail Organa revealing all the key details about where Luke is, for some reason, to Obi-Wan. And then Reva sees that comlink and picks it up, because that person who was like a con man who was there stupidly dropped it, of course. And like I say, just even though we had some cool stuff in this episode, there was just some absolutely ridiculous stuff and stupid writing.
Yeah, I'd say it was bad overall. I really didn't like it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, below average at best, but.
Anyway, on to episode 6, best episode of the show. I really like how Vader and Anakin, they're sort of like still like we don't see Anakin come out really as Vader. We don't see Hayden Christensen's Anakin come out. So when he gets a bit of the helmet sliced off and he's like, "Don't feel bad, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin. I did," and that really was like, damn. And I can't believe even Vader was like, "Mate, why are you blaming yourself? I did this to myself. Fuck off." It's crazy. And then everyone's got tears in his eyes and like, he's sorry. He's like, "I'm sorry for all of it." That was really cool. The Rebels flying away was a bit lackluster. You would have thought they would have done something in the final battle, but I suppose it wasn't really a final battle. It's just Obi-Wan and bloody Darth throwing down. I mean, what really, Reva bloody going after Luke, that was a bit nonsensical and weird, but I guess it was cool that she showed mercy and thought, no, we've got to break the cycle of being cruel to people. Everyone just sort of goes at the end. We don't really hear from anyone else. Can't even remember what happens at the very end, to be honest.
It's the Qui-Gon cameo, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Qui-Gon shows up and then Obi-Wan says, "Hello there."
Oh yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, I love that. That was the best scene. No, not for some reason. That was like the best scene of the show. Hello there.
No, but again, it's just like
I love that.
It's just again like the show's done numerous times, I think, and whatever. It just seems like unnecessary fan service, though.
No, that's amazing. Hello
I
there
know,
is
but
one of the best
it just
things.
seems like a forced scene as well, though. He just walks up to him, the camera's focusing on him, the camera's zooming
I was
in,
so hyped for you
and
to
then
say hello there.
he just says hello there, you know.
Yes, I love that. That was amazing. I was so happy when he did that.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't as good a hello there anyway compared to the others.
Yeah, obviously the best hello there is General Grievous by a landslide. I mean, that shit's banter. Second best is the classic hello there. And then
The original, yeah.
I think this one's still a good hello there though. I think it's still really good. Still like it. But yeah, I like how Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru were fighting. It was weird how everyone got his strength magically back, but I suppose he just sort of thought, I've got to kick the shit out of Vader. Vader just tying the rocks on him and walking off was weird. I like how everyone still couldn't bring himself to kill Vader, and it's like, man, Jedi are meant to be selfless. And the thing is, the selfless thing would be to kill Anakin, to stop him from killing and ruining so many lives in the galaxy. But instead, Obi-Wan is kind of just doing it for his own selfish needs. He's like, I can't kill this guy. I knew him as a kid. Which you do understand, but it's like, man, you know, this dude kills so many people. Why are you like, and he's responsible for so much death and destruction. Why don't you just kill him now? But yeah, obviously that wouldn't make sense if he did for the story. So it makes everyone interesting and compelling. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you know, what can I say about the whole show? I mean, Reva's arc was a bit nonsensical and weird. Her surviving was weird. The whole show didn't really have anything good up until the end, until we got what we really wanted, Obi-Wan and Vader interacting. Even though I said I wouldn't have them interacting, that is sort of that's the fan service. That was the really, really cool fight. I just feel like 6 episodes wasn't enough to get, you know, what we wanted. I would have liked a lot more prequel flashbacks, and I would have liked it to be more set on Tatooine. I know we already have a million shows set on Tatooine, but this one would have made sense. Yeah, I mean, I'd give this show like probably like a 5.5 out of 10 or a 6. It really. I know there was a lot of average episodes, but like 4 and 5 were just kind of bad, and I just wasn't really that bothered. And the others were just average, and then episode 6 was just good. So,
yes. So going back to the finale, I've made a lot of notes about the finale. So yeah, I liked the Obi-Wan and Vader fight. It was cool. Yeah, some different choreography. And as was pointed out as well by the people, I think Obi-Wan was sort of using some of Anakin's moves in that fight as well, and he was being more aggressive, whereas usually he's more defensive. Yeah, the Qui-Gon cameo was nice as well. That was small fan service, but it did make sense. Good to see Liam Neeson back. Setting up, I guess, you know, if they do series 2, then they can actually focus on what we thought they were going to do in the first series, which is, you know, Obi-Wan communing with Qui-Gon and maybe Qui-Gon training him in a sense. Yeah, I guess the interactions between Obi-Wan and Leia in this episode were kind of good as well. Some nice conversations, dialogue, and satisfying things. Even, I guess, some emotional stuff in a way. Yeah, I did like how certain loose ends and plot holes were tied up as well, with Obi-Wan and Leia saying that the fact that they know each other needs to be a secret, in line with the message she has in R2 in A New Hope, you know. And there's also the fact that Obi-Wan calls Vader Darth after Vader said he killed Anakin, and Obi-Wan comes to terms with this, which means that Obi-Wan calling Vader Darth in their New Hope fight makes more sense, as he believes Anakin is dead. It was cool to see Palpatine, and the interaction between Vader and the Grand Inquisitor was interesting too. And going back to the Palpatine thing as well, you know, he said that Vader was conflicted, I suppose, and I guess that's how he lost to Obi-Wan. And maybe that's why he didn't sort of like when he just trapped him underneath the rocks. Maybe that's why he didn't. I don't know. Like he just left it there and said that he's got the better of him and called him master and walked off. I don't know. But maybe he would have thought how he'd try to actually make sure he'd killed him. But it's part of the plot, isn't it? And like I said, that interaction between Vader and the Grand Inquisitor, of course, it was just a brief scene at the start, but it was kind of interesting because Vader is adamant about going after Obi-Wan and focusing on him and not bothering about the refugees. But the Grand Inquisitor doesn't think that's a good idea, and I suppose Obi-Wan's sort of luring him away and baiting him in a sense. So the Grand Inquisitor has a point there, and yeah, I guess Obi-Wan's not sort of meant to be the focus, I suppose. And I've just put that I suppose Reva was more of an interesting character in this one too, and she was unable to kill Luke as it reminded him of her as a youngling. Her redemption added a bit more to her character too. These are just notes I've made.
Fair enough.
Close to the time. I mean, it's not. I don't really like this stuff, but yeah. And even Owen and Beru interacting and holding off Reva was entertaining too, in a way, I suppose. Right. Even though that whole scene on Tatooine was just, I mean, that whole fight was it was going to be predictable, and Reva was going to get the better of them, and then of course Reva's not going to kill Luke because we knew that, and there wasn't any tension to be had there, and
maybe she could have gone after some random Jedi instead. I don't know.
Maybe, but they would have probably had to introduce the character, maybe, and I guess, and maybe it would just be random otherwise.
I was going to say I'll probably give it a 5.8 actually out of 10.
What, the show?
Yeah. What would you give it, Liam? What's your verdict?
I'll probably
10.
No, I'd probably give it. I don't know, because it's really disappointing. I don't know, probably a 5, maybe.
Oh, brutal. Fair enough. It was
all right. I've just got some more notes that can I
go through. Say what you want to say.
Oh yeah. So the finale was basically sort of a finale of two halves as well, which it was. Cutting between Obi-Wan and Vader fighting, and Reva on Tatooine, but I just think the Reva stuff and all of that was just unnecessary. They could have just focused more on Obi-Wan and Vader. It's satisfying to see Obi-Wan actually overpower someone in a lightsaber duel, as he doesn't do that often. We don't see him do that often. And as a key character who appears prominently in the prequels and the Clone Wars, he frequently doesn't have the upper hand and may have to defeat an opponent in different ways as part of the plot to make things more interesting, realistic, and compelling. Otherwise, I guess it'd be boring if he was able to easily defeat all of his opponents, I suppose. And in terms of stupid things, again, Reva surviving and planning to kill Luke. Well, we know that she survived because of the start of the episode. She's on Tatooine somehow. She's already there before everyone else somehow. I suppose she wants to kill Luke to get revenge on Vader, I suppose. They could have at least maybe mentioned how she got to Tatooine or showed it. I don't know. And again, in this episode, like with a lot of the other episodes, a lot of shaky cam, which is something the show's had a problem with, and it just makes it look worse in terms of quality. If I was nitpicking, even though the Vader and Kenobi fight was cool, when I was watching it at the time, it seemed like there were openings in the choreography where either one of the characters hesitated and could have possibly dealt a killing blow. But I can understand that for the sake of the story, I guess, because choreography is not always going to be completely perfect. Just thought there was some odd parts to it. It also seemed a bit odd that Vader didn't try to make sure he killed Obi-Wan too, rather than trapping him under rocks, like I mentioned before. But from a story standpoint, it's understandable. And like I said before, it goes back to what Palpatine said to him about having a connection to his master. It was odd that we don't see what happens to the rebels or the refugees, like you said, after everyone leaves them. So I guess they just somehow managed to escape, I guess, and get to safety. They're being pursued by a Star Destroyer, so that's weird. And then I'm pretty sure we just see Leia back on Alderaan afterwards because she's with them, and then she just manages to get to Alderaan, and we don't see any more about how that happened. And it's just like we just expected to, go along with it. And I've said this before about the third episode, but Vader's throne room and how it looks in his castle is quite fan filmy, and the CGI or whatever they're using should look better because we have that establishing shot of Mustafar just before it, and the exterior of the castle looked good. I think it would have been better if Reva was killed off at the end of episode 5, so there's no focus on her, and no focus on her going after Luke in the finale. So they could focus on Obi-Wan and Vader more, and maybe utilise the Grand Inquisitor and other Inquisitors to go after the refugees and cut between the two, adding tension to the episode and perhaps more emotional heft. So I think that would have been good, actually, if they would have used the Inquisitors or the Grand Inquisitor to go after the refugees instead of Reva and the Tatooine stuff. Maybe the Grand Inquisitor could end up killing refugees or most of them, all of them even, and Obi-Wan feels it. I don't know. But then you do have Leia there, so she's got to get out somehow. And then, if there's going to be a series 2, the finale seems to be setting up that Obi-Wan will be interacting with Qui-Gon more, and we may be getting what we were expecting to get in this series, finally. So I've put there's a lot of good stuff in the finale. I mean, I suppose there was, but there was also a lot of bad stuff. Just wish the previous 5 episodes could have been as good, but even then, the finale's not that great, really. It's sort of mixed. Yeah. And Leia ended up being the main character instead of Luke for some reason. He's meant to be watching over Luke. Yeah, it doesn't make... It's just weird. So then he spends most of the show off Tatooine.
Yeah.
And just a few more things, just a few final things. The Inquisitors were mainly background characters who were essentially wasted, and I don't think the Grand Inquisitor was given enough to do. Sure, he's in Rebels, but I don't know. He's in this show too, and most of his screen time is in the first 2 episodes, really. And there's that green squinned Inquisitor, that female, who she barely spoke, I think, if at all, and hardly did anything, whereas the fifth brother at least got a few lines of dialogue and whatever. Should have heard more Star Wars music, I think, in the show as a whole. And then one final thing as well is that so this is sort of a problem in Star Wars as well in certain things, but just the height discrepancies with the characters. So in Star Wars Rebels, the Grand Inquisitor is meant to be 6'6", so he's only meant to be slightly shorter than Vader. Yet in this show, he seems to only be about 6'1", maybe 6'2".
What's wrong with being 6'1"?
I'm not saying
Liam.
No, I'm saying
Liam. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like I say, it's the height discrepancy thing. For some reason, he's quite tall, or really tall in Rebels, but then he's shorter in this.
Maybe the actor they got from, they thought this geezer looked a lot like him, and the geezer was like, I don't want to be on stilts, fuck that,
Maybe, yeah. I mean, sure, the actor is, he's, shorter. But then at the same time, he just had a lot of makeup on, didn't he?
Yeah, true.
And then the fifth brother as well. The fifth brother's in Rebels, and he's meant to be extremely tall, probably over 7 foot. He's absolutely massive.
What the hell?
Yeah, in this show, he's not. He's nowhere near that, is he? He's like probably as tall as the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
and he should be taller than Vader because he's really tall. But for some reason they got the person who was in the Fast and Furious films, a few of those. I think he's called Sung Kang, to play the fifth brother, and he's only like 5'10" or whatever. I don't know, but he's probably wearing some special boots or something to boost his height.
Yeah.
And just the final thing I want to say is, do you know that someone created a 2.5 hour film of the series?
Yeah, someone re-edited it.
Yeah, you've seen that.
Yeah. I haven't actually seen it, but I heard they re-edited it.
No, I haven't watched it either, but yeah, apparently it is better because it cuts out a lot of the rubbish and
the refresh.
Yeah. In terms of scoring the show as a whole, well, I've already said I'm on 5 out of 10, so they are basically all my thoughts.
That's like the lowest rating you've ever given, and that is for Kenobi, which is crazy.
Probably. I could probably give it lower, to be honest, because it's so disappointing, and I still don't really know how I feel a lot about like certain things that I might have thought were cool. I don't know.
I guess we can wrap up nicely. I'm not going to do legit or a bit. I'm too tired and hot now. I need to just get some rest myself.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, won't be a podcast for a bit of time because I'm on holiday. But hopefully, Liam, you and Aaron, and maybe George and Ben. Well, you, Aaron, and I don't know if Ben. Yeah, Ben ain't up for podcasts at the moment. So hopefully, you, George, and Aaron do a random pod. Should be bants while I'm away.
That'd be good. Yeah.
We'll wrap that up. No, hopefully I can watch this time because last time I was doing the No Internet Challenge. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Anything you want to say before we shoot?
No, wouldn't say so.
All right then. All right. Take care, everyone. Laters.
See ya.
Oh, bloody hell, my camera's totally gone fuzzy. I don't know how that happened. Up against the wall. I'm going to change that. That's going to bug me if it ends on a fuzzy note. There we go. Back to normal. All right. Peace, everyone. Peace. Laters. Right.